have a lot of dirt in here today. Wet, heavy clay. I may be a little overweight. Now we got quite a heavy trailer today. Be interesting to see what it actually scales in at. Didn't realize I had as much in there as I do. I was loading it with a bigger machine today, so it was a little bit more difficult to judge. But and it's wet, heavy clay, so I have a feeling she's probably an 8 or 9 ton load in that trailer. So if that's the case, it's definitely more than what I was aiming for. It's I mean, still within what the truck and trailer will haul, but try not to load it up that much. It's fine if you're going in the straight line with these triaxles. I mean, you get a lot of scrubbing and stuff, and it's hard on them when you're making tight corners and whatnot with it. Whoa, yeah, slippery. Even spinning the tires trying to get that load moving. It's heavy. Nice day out today. It's not raining, it's not snowing. Not dealing with too much muck. On the same route as in the video the other day that I posted. And definitely tell that this is a heavier load than the one yesterday. Oh yeah, you can tell this truck's working. This hill's no joke. I mean, it's not a hill you'd, come across on a highway and get long, steady grades. This is quite a steep hill. Truck's in second gear. I mean, it's pulling it. It's not doing it with any real struggle. I mean, you just know the truck is working. I mean, you can see the boost gauge there. Second gear. 3,000 RPM, 30 to 40 kilometers an hour up that steep hill is not. It's definitely no joke. I would hazard to guess that this is a 17,500 kilogram gross combined load. That's getting up to somewhere up towards 40,000 pounds. I have to do the math. I go to truck info, gauge view. Oh, transmission temp 106. The other thing I noticed there, when you're just running around empty, it doesn't show the transmission temperature number. It just has the gauge. So once it starts to warm up, then you'll get that actual numerical readout, which is interesting. I'd prefer that it would be displaying that information all the time, because I like, you know, seeing that data. We're going down another steep hill here. And engine brake is doing its thing. The interesting thing is, like, I mean, this being a factory engine brake, I don't find it nearly as strong as the Banks speed brake that I have in my 07 6-liter Power Stroke. I mean, it's still strong, but you know, when you think about the fact that this truck has 4.30 gears, you know, the other truck's 3.73. I mean, this truck has, you know, quite a mechanical advantage as far as the gears are concerned. So you're gonna, you know, see more benefit as far as engine braking, like the power to the ground, as well as your, you know, power to the ground, accelerating and towing and stuff. And I actually find that 07 pulls harder, and the engine brake slows things down quicker. Like I said in the other video, you know, this truck does it with less effort. It's kind of a hard thing to, you know, articulate, but it's I mean, the best way I could describe it is this truck will tow, you know, the load to reasonable speeds and hold reasonable speeds easier than the other truck. Whereas the other truck, you know, it'll do it and then some, no problem, but you know you're working the truck harder. But the biggest difference I notice between the two trucks is that this truck, it'll hold its speed, it'll go up the hill, and, you know, it'll continually sort of accelerate and do its thing. Whereas the red truck, it's got way more power on tap. So when you put your foot into it, it just, you know, hammers down and gets up and goes a lot harder. I mean, you're obviously putting a ton more strain on the drivetrain and everything, right, when you do that. But it's pretty apparent that that 6-liter has a lot of power. And to be honest, I'm still quite surprised. I figured with, you know, this truck, 4.30 gears and 450 horsepower, it had to give that 6-liter a run for its money, but it doesn't. It actually, you know, doesn't even come close, which is really surprising. And that's not to say that this truck doesn't have excellent power, because it does. You know, the 6-liter in stock form, it wouldn't even come close to what this truck does. You know, it actually leaves you wanting more power. This truck here, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I always want more power. You know, power is all corrupting. I mean, you can always have more, and you'll always want more, you don't need more. And this truck doesn't leave me, you know, wanting more. It doesn't leave me going, oh man, I just need that, you know, extra 50 horsepower or whatever to do, you know, what I'm doing with it. It does everything flawlessly. So it's, you know, it's just no complaints. I really like the truck. It does have great power. So, I mean, I'm spouting off about that other truck. It's not because I don't think this truck has enough. It's just surprising, you know. It really is a testament to what Banks Power Products can do for, you know, diesel trucks. It's just, every time I drive this thing, I'm actually amazed at the other truck at the same time. So it'd be interesting to see what the Derringer tuner does for these things, because I know, you know, like I work with play TV. There, Tyson's got it in his truck and he really likes it. But with the new trucks and all the emissions, they don't have the ability to, do the kind of tuning and get the added horsepower out of these newer motors that you could with the older motors that didn't have to deal with all the emission stuff and DPF filters and SCR, so the catalysts and stuff that they use, like the urea injection and whatnot. And then the other thing too, like I've got water methanol in the 07, and you can't use water methanol on any newer diesel that has, a DPF SCR system. They don't work with it. That's not to say that you can't hook it up and use it, but it's probably going to cause issues with the filters and your emission stuff. So I mean, for guys that are running deleted 6.7s and whatnot, there's no question you could make it work. You can use that on any diesel. You can use it on gas engines. I mean, my grandpa was using water methanol in the 70s with his 350 Chevy. I was quite surprised to find that out from my dad after, putting it in my red truck. I thought that was hilarious, but it's been around since, World War I or World War II. So water injection has been used in, airplanes back then, and it produces a different kind of power, right? Like it's not, like a conventional fuel source. It doesn't increase cylinder pressures like adding nitrous or more fuel does. It actually creates more it creates more pressure in the cylinder on the downstroke rather than on the compression stroke, so the exhaust stroke, I think. So it builds power differently and it sustains power differently. So when you're running with that water methanol and that 6 liter, you can be going up a hill and you get your foot into it, it just holds its speed. It does not slow down. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I've got this trailer loaded up, similar weights, I've had it behind that 6 liter, and you go up that hill, it just trucks up that hill like there is no hill, and it's unbelievable. So it's, it's a hard thing to explain to somebody, because when you step on the gas, on a gas vehicle or a diesel truck, it gets up and goes, it accelerates, right? Whereas that water methanol, it sustains the power. So that's the best way I can describe it. I know in the bank's literature it says that it adds up to 175 horsepower, and I actually believe that 100%. I mean, it's something you have to experience to really truly appreciate it. So it's I wish you could put that in these things. It would be really neat. But then again, these trucks have so much more power from the factory in stock than what the other trucks had. The 07s were 325 horsepower from the factory, right? And 500 and I believe 65 foot-pounds of torque. This is 450 horsepower and 945 foot-pounds of torque, or whatever it is, right? So, and on top of that, they produce their peak torque at 1600 RPM in the 6.7s, whereas the 6 liters were, I think they're about 1900. There's a big difference, right? Especially guys that went from driving a 7.3 and then jumping into a 6 liter. And the driving experience between those two trucks is just like night and day. There's, no comparison. Whereas the 6.7, in some respects, is more similar to, the 7.3 in terms of that low-end torque and grunt, right? And the 6 liter is it's a totally different animal. And the other thing people don't really realize is that the firing order in the 6 liter is actually, it's a cross plane crank, right? So, guys that know about the Ford Mustang GT350R, the new one, or the 350, that's the the big selling ticket on that car, with that 5.2 liter motor, the Voodoo motor in it, because it's a cross plane crank, right? So it's got a sequential firing order, much like a European V8, and there's really no other cars around here. So they build power differently than your standard conventional V8 firing order that we're used to here. So the 6 liter is somewhat similar. It does not want to build the same grunt right off the line like a 7.3 does or a 6.7 does. But once it digs in, it yank the freaking anchor off the bottom of the ocean kind of power. Once it goes, it just goes. So it's an interesting motor. I mean, they get a lot of bad rap, but that truck of mine has been a darn good truck. It's, you know, made me a lot of money and it's never let me down, but I've maintained it. So hopefully this truck will be just as good. I mean, I fully expect that it will be. I know lots of guys that have these trucks out in the oil patch, and you know, they've got 550, 600,000 kilometers on them, and they have been worked hard every single day. No break-in periods, no, you know, babying it for the first couple thousand kilometers. I mean, they bought them from the dealership, loaded them up, and took them straight out to the bush, and you know, used them the way they were designed to be used. So they're a very tough truck. Ugh, it's bumpy in here going up to this dump. Crawling. I'd keep videoing once I get onto the scale up here, but they don't have a digital readout. So what I'll do is I'll get to the scales and then take a video afterwards of my scale ticket and show you guys exactly what the weight is here. I got their dump trucks crawling up behind me. These guys come flying through here at Mach 9. It's just amazing that they don't drop brake pots and all sorts of parts of their truck on the road here, because this thing's got some pretty good 8-inch deep potholes. It ain't comfortable. So anyways, I will let you guys go for a bit and I'll be back. All right, well, went through the scales. That was much heavier than I thought it was going to be. It was 19,100 kilograms for a 11,450 kilogram load. So yeah, crazy. That's pushing it. To be honest, I mean, I'm usually really careful with my weights, and I was loading that trailer with a bigger machine today, and a lot of that dirt got pushed up against the sides, so I use the level of load to gauge, and I'm usually pretty darn accurate within, you know, 500 kilograms, and I load myself light. And this one caught me off guard for sure. That's a little much for this thing, for the trailer anyways, not for the truck. But as you can see in the video, I mean, it handled it no problem. So we're in the dump here, and we shall dump that load and hope that the trailer actually lifts it. I've never had an issue with this thing dumping, you know, heavy loads, but this is a test, no question about it. So that's my spoil pile where it's going right now. I will stop the video and then start it back again. All right, well, that is a load. Now let's hope it dumps. Oh shit, I gotta unlock this thing. Where is my keys? Got the big North Star battery in there. Oh, moment of truth. Oh, it ain't gonna dump. Is it gonna dump? Bypassing. Oh. Well, I think we found its limit. I better call them to get a scoop out of here. Fuck. That's good. Thank you. Well, that's all it took to get her out. guys that are looking for one of these trailers, go see these guys. Talk to Mike Carr. Honestly, it has been the best experience I've ever had buying any piece of equipment or trailer. That guy is awesome. Like, can't say enough good things about him. Yeah, that was way, way heavier than what I thought it would be. It's actually pushing my truck forward right now. Whoa, whoa! Hey, this fucking truck is gonna hit me. Jeez, idiot. Do you think it wasn't a heavy load? There's your proof. That's an F-450, boys. That is a pile of dirt. If I can go this way. Try not to pick up any nails. It's always a risk in here. Truck feels a little lighter now. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, not what I'm aiming for, getting loads like that. As a responsible person, you shouldn't be, you know, overloading things to that point. It's pretty tricky though, because I mean, I obviously don't have any scales on that trailer, you know, to be able to get an accurate weight. I'm not scaling out from a gravel pit with the load. I'm loading out from a job site, and we're dealing with, you know, wet, heavy clay that's, you know, quite saturated. Very difficult to, you know, estimate like the load visually, and then you're dealing, you know, with the, you know, the added factor of, you know, the weight of it per yard is probably 30% or 40% more than, you know, normal, you know, well draining soils. So it's yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, and I'll be honest, I frustrated with myself because I don't, you know, like overshooting my target, you know, weight like that. It's not good. But you know, the truck handles it fine. That's not a problem. It's hard on the trailer, and you know, the legal side of things when you're going overweight like that, it's not good. So yeah, just because you can doesn't mean you should. I was definitely overweight on that one, so